Anyway. CTV's Leah Cross has more.
This SPCA seizure of nearly 100 cats and dogs from Celtic Pets stirred up emotions for those who love animals. But now it's the Rescue Society itself that's evoking the same kind of reaction from its former members.
I think the people who are in charge, the two on the executive, are more harmful to the SPCA than anything that we will do. The SPCA will always survive.
Maureen Tate is a former SPCA member. She says her membership was revoked after she voiced an opinion to the board and its branches. She attended the SPCA's Annual General Meeting this weekend, but wasn't allowed in.
It's a public organization. How can they refuse the public to go?
SPCA officials say there are usually about 40 people at their annual general meeting. This year there was triple that amount, and they say that's because of the controversy that's taken place within the SPCA this year.
We're looking at things to benefit all, but it's hard to get the message out there when people aren't listening.
Nova Scotia SPCA President Pamela Keddy says the society has approached the government to step in and get control of the situation.
We had approached the Department of Agriculture as well, stating that we had seen the need of having an external body, a committee outside of ourselves, to deal with things when complaints like this arise.
The list of complaints is long. Agriculture Minister Brooke Taylor says it's getting out of hand and is proposing a solution.
You know, we're looking at restoring governance, we're looking at more accountability, transparency.
The Nova Scotia government is hoping a proposed committee will refocus the attention of the SPCA to the animals in the province. Leah Cross, CTV News, Dartmouth.
Well, questions for the Agriculture Minister about the SPCA in the second half hour tonight. Just before we break.
SPCA, the largest animal welfare group in Nova Scotia, are locked in an ugly struggle over how their organization is to be run. Some members thought they would put the matter to rest this weekend, but it's not over yet. The CBC's Mari Ito joins me now from our newsroom. Mari.
Jim, an emergency meeting has been called tonight for the board members of the SPCA. That's going to be taking place at the SPCA offices in Bedford. Now, there's an email circulating among them. It says that damage control is needed and that they have to deal with the recent negativity surrounding the SPCA, and all of that came out at Saturday's general meeting. Behind these closed doors, about 120 members of the Nova Scotia SPCA gathered for the group's annual general meeting. Media were kept out. This SPCA member says being inside the packed room didn't make things any clearer.
I think it was a difficult format for people to get answers. There didn't seem to be a feeling of openness throughout the whole meeting.
Many members of that meeting were upset with how the SPCA handled a recent investigation of animal neglect at a shelter just outside Port Hawkesbury. That led to one of the items on the agenda, a confidence motion. The SPCA Board of Directors survived with a vote of 81 to 47. Morrison says that vote didn't reflect what the membership is feeling.
Because people who have issues, most of them are with the executive, and in particular, Judith Gash and Pamela Keddy. So, first of all, you're having a vote of confidence for an entire board where people do have faith in some of the members of that board.
Judith Gass is one of the board members singled out by the dissenters. She says people have always been passionate about animals.
You want to know the truth? This is a problem the SPCA has always had. Since I've been a member of the board, there have been, on several occasions, cases where we've brought in consultants to help the board get along with its members and to help the board get along with one another.
We reached the Minister of Agriculture, Brooke Taylor, today. He says that his staff is working on changes to the Animal Cruelty Prevention Act. That's the act that governs the SPCA. Now, he won't say what those changes are. He just says that when they're finished, they'll be presented to the legislature. Jim?
The CBC's Mari Ito live in our newsroom tonight. The McDonald
Responsible for the SPCA calls it very worrisome and is promising a new law to govern the organization. And the Honourable Brooke Taylor is joining us tonight from the Nova Scotia Legislature. Minister, good to come. We appreciate it.
Yeah, good evening.
Let me begin by asking you, what is your understanding, in fact, of what is actually going on in the SPCA?
Well, we understand that, first and foremost, the SPCA is not, discharging the responsibilities probably to the degree that the public would like, and consequently, I believe that the best interests of animals are perhaps not given the priority that they should be. So, that there is obviously work taking place to revamp the Animal Cruelty Act, and we believe some of the provisions that we will bring in should perhaps reflect, some of the issues, the shortcomings, and provide for better laws.
Do you read this mostly, though, Minister, as some sort of personality clash between individuals or factions within the SPCA?
Well, Steve, I wasn't at the meeting. I have heard reports and media accounts, and it is quite troublesome. There's no doubt about that. But I think if we can bring forward, provisions that will provide for greater governance, transparency, and accountability to the minister and this legislature, I believe that would go a long way to perhaps smoothing some of the wrinkles.
So far as you know, Minister Taylor, have any laws been broken by anybody involved in the SPCA or by the SPCA itself?
Not to my knowledge, no.
All right. This is, as we all know, a private organization, and yet it has real legal authority prescribed by the statute law of Nova Scotia. So who actually is responsible for the SPCA? To whom is the organization ultimately answerable?
Well, firstly, the SPCA is, I guess, the oldest organization in Nova Scotia, and through the Animal Cruelty Act, they have the responsibility to look after the welfare of animals, and that's all animals, be it farm animals or domestic pets, companion animals, etc. It is their responsibility. However, the Act, it is quite old. The last time I think it was even amended was some 12 or 13 years ago. And, probably in hindsight, the government could have and should have had a more prominent role in the legislation. And
why hasn't the government made itself, a manager, if you will, or responsible for the SPCA?
Well, I think I can't speak for 1996. I think it was the last time the Act was opened up. But I think at that particular time, and perhaps even today, government is reticent to meddle in, the affairs of volunteers. But, when we're dealing with the best interests of animals, I think it's time to open it up and take, the department has to take more responsibility.
That's the minister, then, should be the authority, really, over the SPCA.
That's right, and we will build some accountability into it. We're going to look at things like, ensuring that annual general meetings are public, things along those lines, perhaps even, a third party to, deal with, disagreements that, somebody may aggrieve, the fact that their animals have been seized or an investigation was improperly conducted, allegedly.
Might you, as minister, be compelled or likely to reconstitute the SPCA to actually dismiss all of the current staff and the board and so on and appoint new people?
Not at this particular time, no. That I don't see that as an option because, they have, I think for the most part, a pretty, darn good track record. And again, I want to emphasize it is made up of volunteers, and we're going to work with the volunteers, and I really believe that they will regain their focus, and of course we're going to help them.
We appreciate a few minutes of your time. I realize the House is sitting, and we'll let you get back to it. Minister, thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Steve.
The Honourable Brooke Taylor, Nova Scotia's Minister of Agriculture, also responsible for the SPCA. Still ahead, health